You've spent 3 weeks agonizing over paint swatches. Then you finally pick a sophisticated, breezy mint that looks like $1,000,000 on the tiny paper card. You spend your entire Saturday taped up, rolling paint, and sweating through your favorite shirt. It looks great until the sun goes down and you flip on the overhead lights. Suddenly, your kitchen doesn't look like a high-end bistro. It looks like the inside of a giant tube of Colgate. Or worse, a clinical-grade refrigerator where the vibes go to die. It's the classic toothpaste under sunlight effect, where a color looks minty fresh in the store but turns into a radioactive nightmare or a rainy bus station once it hits your actual walls. The kitchen is the undisputed heart of the home. It's the stage for your morning caffeine ritual, the place where you accidentally burn the toast, and the sanctuary where late-night heart-to-hearts happen over leftover pizza. Because it's the hardest working room in the house, picking a color palette feels like a high-stakes gambling match with your home's resale value. Go too trendy, and you're stuck with millennial pink cabinets that feel dated by next Tuesday. Go too safe, and you end up with confusion beige, a color so bland it actually saps the flavor out of your food. Today, we are putting an end to the paint aisle panic. We're diving deep into the world of timeless kitchen palettes, the kind of color combinations that don't just look good on a Pinterest board, but actually add cold, hard value to your home. We're talking about the holy grail of design, colors that feel fresh today, sophisticated 10 years from now, and expensive even if you're on a DIY budget. So, put down that neon lime green paint roller, and let's talk about how to make your kitchen the coolest room in the house without accidentally making it look like a hospital wing. Before we get into the how, we have to address the why. Why are we so obsessed with kitchen colors? It's because the kitchen is usually the most expensive room to renovate. You can change a bedroom's vibe with a new duvet cover and a $20 lamp, but changing a kitchen usually involves demolition, plumbing, and a small existential crisis. There's a common design myth that says if you want to sell your house eventually, everything has to be white. All white. White cabinets, white walls, white tile, white sole. And listen, I love a crisp white kitchen as much as the next design nerd. It's the white t-shirt and jeans of interior design. But there is a very fine line between timeless gallery and unintentional laboratory. If your kitchen is so white that you feel like you need to scrub in for surgery before making an omelet, we have a problem. The secret to a timeless palette isn't avoiding color. It's choosing colors that have depth. Think of it like choosing a partner. You don't just want someone who looks good in a headshot. You want someone with layers, someone who stays interesting when the lighting gets weird. A truly timeless kitchen uses grounded colors, shades found in nature, like the deep blue of the ocean at dusk, or the warm, creamy white of an unbleached linen shirt. These colors don't scream for attention. They hum in the background, making your marble countertops and brass faucets look like $1,000,000. Let's start with a combination that has been winning the Most Likely to Succeed award for decades: navy and cream. Now, before you roll your eyes and say, "Navy? Groundbreaking," hear me out. Navy blue is the denim of the interior world. It goes with literally everything. But the trick to making it look expensive, rather than nautical-themed Airbnb, is all in the pairing. Imagine this. Your lower cabinets are a deep, moody Oxford blue. It's a blue so dark it almost flirts with black, but when the morning light hits it, you see that rich, oceanic undertone. You pair that with upper cabinets, or just the walls, in a warm, buttery cream. Not a cold, blue-toned white, but a cream that feels like a hug. Why does this work? It's all about visual weight. By putting the darker color on the bottom, you ground the room. It feels sturdy and intentional. If you flipped it and put navy on the ceiling and cream on the floor, you'd feel like the sky was falling every time you boiled pasta. That's a designer confession for you. We spend 90% of our time just trying to make sure the room doesn't feel like it's upside down. To elevate this, you bring in the jewelry, the hardware. Navy and cream thrive with warm metals. Unlacquered brass or honey bronze pulls on those navy doors. That is the design equivalent of a chef's kiss. It adds a glow that balances the coolness of the blue. For textures, think about a light oak floor. The honey tones in the wood will pull the warmth out of the cream walls and keep the blue from feeling too chilly. This is a palette that says, "I own a collection of vintage wine glasses, and I actually know how to use them." If navy feels a bit too formal for you, let's talk about the palette that's currently taking over the design world while remaining completely timeless, the Organic Trio. We're talking sage green, sand, and walnut. This combo is for the person who wants their kitchen to feel like a spa, but a spa where you're allowed to eat carbs. Sage green is a psychological powerhouse. It's associated with growth, renewal, and freshness. It's the color of herbs, of the outdoors, and it has this magical ability to look neutral even though it's clearly a color. Picture a kitchen with sage green cabinets in a matte finish. When you use a matte finish, the color absorbs light rather than bouncing it around, which makes the green feel softer and more lived in. Now, pair that with a sand backsplash, maybe a Zalige tile that has slight variations in tone, so it looks like the beach on a cloudy day. Finally, you anchor the whole thing with rich walnut accents. Maybe it's a walnut island, or just some open shelving where you keep your fancy plates that you never actually use. The walnut wood provides the soul of the room. Wood is a living finish. It brings a warmth that paint just can't replicate. In terms of lighting, this palette is a shapeshifter. In the bright morning light, the sage feels energetic and crisp. In the evening, under warm pendant lights, it turns into a cozy, mossy sanctuary. It's the ultimate "I'm an adult who has their life together" palette, even if the inside of your junk drawer says otherwise. Now, let's go a bit bolder. Sometimes people are terrified of dark colors in a kitchen because they think it will make the space feel like a dungeon. But dark colors don't make a room smaller, they make the walls recede. They create depth. This is the black tie palette: charcoal, marble white, and light oak. If you've ever seen a kitchen with charcoal gray cabinets and a stark white marble countertop with thick gray veining, you know the vibe. It's high contrast, high drama, but somehow still feels like it belongs in a Victorian manor. The charcoal acts as a frame for everything else. It makes the white of the marble pop and makes your stainless steel appliances look like integrated pieces of art. But, and this is a big but, if you just do charcoal and white, the kitchen can feel a bit icy villain lair. To stop it from feeling cold, you have to bring in the light oak. Whether it's the flooring or a wooden breakfast bar, the pale sandy tones of the oak act as a bridge. It softens the blow of the charcoal and warms up the white. When it comes to lighting for this look, you want to avoid cool white bulbs at all costs. If you put cool LED lights in a charcoal kitchen, you've officially entered hospital cafeteria territory. Go for warm, dimmable lighting. You want the charcoal to look like velvet, not cold steel. It's a look that says, "I drink my coffee black and I never forget to pay my taxes." If you want a kitchen that feels like it belongs in a sun-drenched villa in Tuscany, but you live in a suburb where it rains 3 times a week, this is your palette. We're moving away from the cool and crisp and leaning heavily into warm and weathered. Imagine your walls or your backsplash in a muted, aged terracotta. This isn't that bright flower pot orange from the 90s. It's a dusty, sophisticated clay that looks like it's been baked by the sun for a century. To keep it from feeling too heavy, we pair it with warm putty cabinets. Putty is the sophisticated older sister of beige. It has a slight stony undertone that feels incredibly high-end. Now, here's the designer secret. This palette needs a bite. Without a sharp contrast, it can look a little too much like a bowl of oatmeal. That's where the black iron comes in. Think matte black faucets, industrial pendant lights, or even black window frames. This sharp graphic element cuts through the warmth and makes the kitchen feel modern rather than just old world. It's the design equivalent of adding a pinch of salt to a chocolate chip cookie. It makes everything else taste better. For the person who finds white kitchens a bit too much like a dental office, let's talk about the Moody Botanical look. This is for the soul who wants to cook dinner in a space that feels like a cozy, hidden library. We start with deep forest green. This is a color with massive gravity. It's dark, it's rich, and it makes gold-veined marble or white quartz countertops look absolutely luminous. But instead of pairing it with a stark white, which can feel a bit preppy, we use mushroom. Mushroom is a gorgeous mid-tone neutral that sits right between gray and brown. It feels organic, soft, and lived in. To bring this forest to life, you need the warmth of copper. While brass is the current it girl of design, copper is the timeless choice for an earthy kitchen. A copper farmhouse sink, or even just a few copper canisters on the counter, will pick up the red undertones in the mushroom paint and the depth of the green. In the evening, this kitchen becomes a total mood. Under low wattage lighting, the walls almost seem to disappear, leaving you in a warm, cocoon-like space. It's a palette that practically begs you to spend 4 hours slow braising a short rib while you ignore your phone. If you want a kitchen that feels like a permanent Sunday morning, even when it's a rainy Tuesday and you're running late, this is your palette. We call this the morning toast because it's warm, comforting, and just a little bit golden. Instead of a cold, clinical white, we start with a base of warm white. This is a white that has just a drop of yellow or pink in it, making the walls feel like they're glowing from within. Then, we bring in the star of the show, soft ochre. This isn't a loud school bus yellow, it's a sophisticated, earthy gold that looks incredible on an accent wall or even a kitchen island. It's the color of harvest wheat and expensive butter. To ground all that sunshine, you need the organic texture of a butcher block countertop or dark wood shelving. The deep, honeyed brown of the wood catches the gold in the ochre and turns the kitchen into a cozy bakery vibe. It's a palette that practically forces you to start a sourdough starter. It's friendly, it's inviting, and it's impossible to be in a bad mood while you're making coffee in this room. Forget everything you know about coastal design. We're moving past the anchors, the seashells, and the bright turquoise. Coastal Noir is the moody, sophisticated cousin of the beach house. It's inspired by the Pacific Northwest coastline. Think foggy mornings, driftwood, and smooth gray stones. The foundation here is pewter. It's a mid to dark gray with a heavy blue-green undertone. It's moody, but because it's a natural gray, it doesn't feel industrial. We pair this with bleached wood. Think white oak or ash with a matte, clear finish. The light, desaturated tones of the wood pull the heaviness out of the pewter and keep the kitchen feeling airy. To finish it off, we use soft sand for the backsplash or the flooring. This is a very pale, warm neutral that mimics the color of a windswept dune. The result is a kitchen that feels incredibly expensive and quiet. It's quiet luxury for the home. It doesn't scream for attention, but anyone who walks in will immediately feel a sense of calm. This palette says, I have a curated collection of sea salt, and my linen napkins are always perfectly pressed. Believe it or not, the colors in your kitchen can actually change how you experience food. There's a reason fast food joints use red and yellow. It triggers hunger and makes you want to move fast. If you paint your kitchen bright primary red, you might find yourself eating standing up and feeling stressed. For a timeless, high-value kitchen, we want colors that encourage slow living. We want colors that make you want to open a bottle of wine, put on some jazz, and actually enjoy the process of chopping onions. This is why earth tones, terracottas, sages, and warm whites are so enduring. They lower the heart rate. They make the kitchen a sanctuary rather than a factory. If you're someone who struggles to get motivated in the morning, a pop of warm yellow in a breakfast nook can be like a shot of caffeine for your eyes. If you're someone who uses the kitchen to decompress after a long day at the office, those deep, moody blues and greens are going to be your best friend. Your kitchen should serve your lifestyle, not just look like a museum. So, what have we learned today on our journey through the paint swatches? First, depth is your best friend. Whether it's a deep navy, a sage green, or a moody charcoal, don't be afraid of a color that has a little mystery to it. Second, always consider your jewelry, the metals and woods that bring the warmth. And third, never trust a paint swatch until you've seen it at 4 p.m. in your own home. Your kitchen is more than just a place to store snacks. It's the most valuable asset in your home. By choosing a palette that honors natural materials and balanced lighting, you're creating a space that won't just look good on a listing agent's photos. It will feel good to live in every single day. Don't let confusion beige win. Your walls deserve a story. They deserve a color that makes you smile when you walk in at 7 a.m. to make that first cup of coffee. Whether you go for the sophisticated navy and cream or the spa-like sage and walnut, remember that the most timeless thing in any room is the personality of the person who lives there.